Good morning, this is the third day. So we've taken off from Albury on the first day, went to the mouth of the Murray and then back to Mildura, where we stayed the first night. And then we went up the Darling River and saw the Mungindi Lakes catastrophe that has been caused by the Murray-Darling Basin Authority. Then we went up to the northern part of the Murray-Darling Basin itself, then came back to Goondiwindi, which is where we are now. We're about to take off and head east to Stanthorpe and have a look at the Qld Gorge and also the upper tributaries of the Clarence River. Then come back to Moree and have a look at the heavily developed agricultural facilities there, and then work our way down. We might even stop at Mungindi to listen to a group of Aboriginals who have been affected seriously by the Murray-Darling Basin Plan and who are concerned by the corruption. If we can get into that, that'll be great, and have a listen there. And then we'll continue down south through the major irrigation areas, working our way down, getting a glimpse of the Snowy, and then landing in Albury tonight. That concludes the trip.
I just want to go back to leaving Mungindi earlier this afternoon, because in Mungindi I felt reinvigorated, really happy and excited, because I met an Aboriginal there called Alfred Priestley. And Alfred was saying that right across the Aboriginal community in northern New South Wales and southern Queensland, they feel frustrated and left behind because they are not being listened to. And that echoes right around the whole Murray-Darling Basin. And I could feel his frustration and his annoyance, and the same with the other Aboriginals meeting in Mungindi, which is just on the New South Wales-Queensland border. And I echoed that. The second thing that Albert made clear was that it's not fair. The Murray-Darling Basin Plan is completely unfair. It's ignoring people, leaving huge members of the community out. And so that fairness we endorse, that needs to be a part of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, and it's not. The third thing, though, I said to Albert was, and this is the first thing I said to him, was that we need to get fairness by basing decisions and plans and actions on fact. Solid data, scientific data, fact. And Albert almost grabbed me and hugged me, because he said that's exactly what he's been saying. So those three things I endorse from Albert. First of all, we need to listen to people. We need to make sure that the solutions are fair to people. And we need to base those solutions on hard, measured data, objective fact. I want to commend Alfred for another thing as well, and that is his use of language. He talks about the people of the Commonwealth. He doesn't talk about Aboriginals and non-Aboriginals, farmers and non-farmers, and northern people and southern people. He talks about the people of our Commonwealth. And that is a wonderful, wonderful phrase, because it is the commonwealth of this amazing Murray-Darling Basin that needs to be shared fairly. And it is the people of the Commonwealth of Australia that Alfred is drawing attention to. And I endorse that, Alfred. So thank you very, very much. I feel much better as a result of that conversation. I feel some hope. We're back in Albury. The trip's finished. I want to talk, though, firstly about the trip from Mungindi in northern New South Wales, right on the Queensland border, back to Albury. We passed some amazing country, flat and lush and green. They've had rain recently. This part of the country in western New South Wales, the slopes of New South Wales, we went across the Riverina, across the Murrumbidgee irrigation area, back to Albury, is amazingly rich when it gets water. And so what we're seeing here is evidence of the wealth of the Murray-Darling Basin, but its crucial reliance on water. And if that water is not given to the farmers, then the farmers are decimated, communities are decimated, the state of New South Wales is decimated. So what the hell are we doing, sending water outside of the state for reasons that cannot be justified? And to see that water wasted when it could be used productively in South Australia makes it even worse. So I'm now quite angry, because we have to stop decimating the farms, decimating the farmers, decimating the communities, and decimating the environment. That's what's happening under this crazy Murray-Darling Basin Authority's plan. It's not a plan, it's a farce and it's a fraud, and we need to stop it. Hi, I'm Senator Malcolm Roberts, and I'm in Albury. I've just returned after 3 days going around the whole of the Murray-Darling Basin. And we did that so that we could get a feel for the whole basin in one shot, and also so that we could identify the hotspots, because we're going to be coming back and doing a lot of research with communities and with individuals, experts across the whole Murray-Darling Basin. And we'll do that on the ground so we can spend a lot of time listening and really absorb what we need to do. But I want to recap this brief tour. And it started on Monday, flying out of Albury, and the first thing I noticed was just how twisty and windy the Murray River is, snaking back on itself. It's incredible. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. And another thing I recognized, and that, by the way, just symbolizes, it shows just how flat this country is, and it's flat all the way to the South Australian border. And that means that the Murray River cannot carry anything like the amount of water that the Murray-Darling Basin thinks it's going to shove down through there and through the Barmah Choke. It's just not possible. It'll do environmental damage, as it's done. It'll also do damage to communities and damage to individual farmers, as it's done repeatedly through negligence by the Murray-Darling Basin Authority. Second thing we noticed was when we got into Western Victoria was the massive new almond crops, and they're very, very hungry for water, thirsty for water. They take enormous quantities of water and drive the price of water through the roof. Third thing we noticed when we flew into South Australia is the amount of fresh water lying around in South Australia. And it's just plain ridiculous because the South Australians have so much water that they're taking from other areas and they're not making use of it. Then we flew over the barrages, we flew over the Lower Coorong, we flew over the Lake Alexandrina, and that lake is massive, and it's in a massive evaporation pond. But the damage that's been done through the South Australian government interfering with nature over the last 150 years is just phenomenal. And they're taking water out of other states and abusing it in their own state and abusing their own environment in their own state. So we have to really get back to the science there to protect the real environment. Stayed overnight in Mildura. Next morning we took off from Mildura and we went over Wentworth where the Darling River comes in and joins the Murray. And I realised just how narrow the Darling River is. Neither the Murray nor the Darling are big rivers. They're just not. And the Darling also snaking back on itself so much. And that indicates how flat that country is as well. And then we landed in Mungindi. And what a shock that was. Mungindi Lake was beautiful, natural water habitat, and it's been drained to send water from that wonderful environment down to South Australia to evaporate in Lake Alexandrina. And look at the Mungindi Lakes now, just decimated. Used to be called the Kakadu of the South, and now it's just a dust bowl. Dead trees everywhere. And it was made that way by the Murray-Darling Basin Authority deliberately. Then we continued flying up the rest of the Darling River, and we went into Queensland, north of Charleville, to get a feel for the country up there, because that could be the potential inlet for water from northern Queensland into the Murray-Darling Basin, and certainly into southern Queensland. And then we landed in Goondiwindi after a couple of hours of night flying, and we stayed the night in Goondiwindi. And we met up with someone there who told us about some of the corruption in the Murray-Darling Basin. Water being stolen, water being sold, and then given back at no cost to the farmers. Abuse in various areas. And who are missing out? The people in the southern New South Wales and the people in northern Victoria. And then overnight in Gundy, we took off this morning from Gundy and we flew over the area near Stanthorpe. We went out over all of that rich country there. And we saw the benefit of irrigation in northern New South Wales and southern Queensland, and massive feedlots. And then we flew over the upper tributaries of the Clarence River and saw just how much rain that area gets. There's a source of water too. Then we flew back to Moree and flew over the flat northern New South Wales area. Very, very productive, irrigated, some dry land. And then we decided to fly to Mungindi because there was a meeting of Aboriginal people there, which I've discussed, and they brought it back to basics. They echoed what has been saying right across the Murray-Darling Basin. No one is listening to the people on the ground. No one is treating the people fairly. No one is considering their needs. It's just a government bureaucracy, a government edict, and it's pushing a foreign agenda. And I want to echo again Alfred Priestley's words, the Commonwealth of Australia, the people of the Commonwealth, because it is everyone in this. We need to find solutions that are fair to everyone. And I was really invigorated by that, because Alfred was so genuine and so sensible and not looking after just his own interests. And that was so unique. And then we flew back to Albury. And then I started feeling angry again, because there's so much wealth potentially in New South Wales. And what's happening is that wealth is being destroyed in the agricultural areas by the stealing of water and wasting it down in South Australia. South Australians could be doing so much more for their own economy with better use of that water and better use of their own natural environment. Then we landed in Albury, trip over, we have an overview of the whole Murray-Darling Basin. Now we'll be coming back in future weeks to really listen to the people on the ground, starting in Queensland, our state, but also making sure that we take in New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia, as we did a couple of years ago, but much more thoroughly and over much more time. And I'm really looking forward to coming down to the Southern Darling and listening to the people in Mungindi and Wentworth, and also in Broken Hill in central western New South Wales. So thank you very much to the pilot who looked after us. Thank you very much to the 3 experts who are on the trip with us. And thank you very much to the videographer who recorded some of the videos, although this one's on an iPhone. But thank you very much. It takes a lot to get information and to record it, because what we want to do is share our information right around the country, because we've got to get the facts out. We've got to make decisions based on fact.